Welcome back everybody. Today we're doing gaming on ARC GPU with Throne and Liberty from the A310 to the A770. So for each card I'm going to test the best scenario, the best resolution and best graphical settings, but only touching the presets. I'm not going to play with tweaking the graphical settings. Welcome to Response PC. I'm Dunk. Let's game on. Starting with the A310 and going up, we're going to have the i7 700, 16GB of memory. We're going to start at 1080p, and this card can even play at medium setting with XeSS balance. This is a 4GB VRAM card, so using 4.4GB of VRAM mean we have 400MB from the system memory used for this card, but we get an average of 50 plus FPS in the city and 61 in the wild. That is really nice to see that the lowest of the Intel Arc GPU can run the game, mean all the other can run also. It's at 95% of its decision, so you can maybe even tweak some eye settings here and there. The CPU we are at 44% of its decision, and memory usage we are at 12.8GB of memory. Next is the A380. This is a 6GB VRAM card, still with the same setup, and I decided to keep the medium settings with XeSS balance. We get an average of 71 FPS in the open world, and the city we just under 60 at 58 FPS. I know you don't have to play at the 60 FPS for this kind of game, but it's always nice to have and nice to see. That's why I kept all those settings. For the A310, if you want to reach the 60 FPS, you need to drop everything at low. Anyway, the A380 is using 5.9GB of VRAM out of 6. CPU is in the mid 60s, and we're using 14.2GB of system memory. Now up to my favorite ARC GPU so far, the A580, 8GB VRAM. I was able to push the settings to I with XeSS balance, but it seems the I settings look like to be a bit hard on the GPU, because in city we were reaching 44 FPS, out of city we were in the 72 FPS, and we almost maxed out the VRAM. This card has 8GB of VRAM and we're using 7.4GB of VRAM. Same go for the system memory. Out of 16 we're using 14.7. We almost maxing out the system memory of that PC. It's playable, but maybe you can tweak some settings manually to be able to have a bit higher FPS in city. I've also encountered quite a few stutter when the FPS dropped to 11 and 10 FPS. It also went as high as 105 FPS. The GPU is not even pegged at 100%. We are in the mid 70, so there's something was bottlenecking us in the current situation, and I cannot really figure it out. The CPU is in the mid 80, the memory is still have 1.5GB overhead minus Windows. Next up is the A750 Elden Ring Edition at 1080p, high settings and XeSS balance. Now in city we've reached an average of 51 FPS, and out of city we were at 98 FPS, and the FPS was quite unstable. In city we can go for as low as 38 and as high as 65. Same go for in the world. I've reached even at 128 FPS, and now it's becoming clearly we have a memory bottleneck using 15.5GB of system memory out of 16. The GPU is not pegged, is waiting on instruction. The GPU is wavering from mid 70 to mid 80% of its position, and 6.7GB of VRAM out of 8. I think that's what happened also with the A580, but it was less obvious. Seems if you want to play this game at high settings or higher, at least on ARC GPU, you need at least 32GB of memory. And lastly, the A770 LE. Still at 1080p, now at epic setting and XeSS quality, we get an average of 87 FPS in the open world and 41 in the city. But again, we have a bit of a memory bottleneck. It's not so apparent in the open world because we're using 15GB of memory, but when you reach the city, we're using 16. I don't know where Windows is running in the background, but we have 16GB of memory usage in city. So if you want to play this game at the high settings or higher, you need at least 32GB of memory instead of 16. So the A580, the A750 and the A770, you'll gain about 10 to 20 FPS just by having more memory and not having a bottleneck from the memory, or if you can say out of memory. So on the previous result of the A580, 750 and 770, just add 10 to 20 FPS and stable edit. That's the result with 32 GB of memory. And finally, I know, this is not the Intel GPU, it's a AMD RX 77 XT Frostpunk edition. But I put it in my editing rig, I removed my A770 to do this test at 1440p, epic settings, FSR Ultra, but this time with 32 GB of system memory. And good thing it is, because I've been using 22 to 24 GB of system memory to play this game at those settings. And with those max out settings, we get 83 FPS in open world and 76 in city. Now the reason why I put the AMD FX 77 XT Frostpunk 2 edition in that video, it's simply because there is a draw. If you watch the entire video, you will know. And if you watch my last video about the Frostpunk 2 edition RX 77 XT, you will know that there's a Space Marine 2 to win. If you watch the last video, you need to put in comment, I will win, sub to my channel, and wait for the next video that featured the RX 77 XT. And then comment on that video, I won. And the first one to be on the comment who have I won and I will win and sub to my channel will get a copy of Space Marine 2. And the reason I went that way is because I want to eliminate any just the giveaway hunter who's just typing in the YouTube search a giveaway to try to get any giveaway without even watching your video. So unless you watch my video, you won't know how to win. And it's funny because even in the thumbnail, it said that it's not even the GPU is a giveaway. So they don't even look the thumbnail, they don't look the description, because the rule how to win was written there. They just spam my comment section with the I will win, probably copying from other that already write I will win without knowing what is for win. And they thought it was the GPU itself for win, because this was the thumbnail from that video and this were the rule for that giveaway. And those are the comments that I receive, thinking they're going to replace their GPU if they win. Anyway, enough about ranting about those giveaway hunter. It'll probably work if they're still doing it, and see you on the next one. Don't forget to comment I won if you think you're going to, and if you follow the rule.